Let me just start out by saying it's just really wonderful to be here in this venue today with all of you because we're celebrating books and reading, something that all of us value here in this room. Some of us, maybe we don't notice how much we value it because we grew up with it. Of course, in Ethiopia, that's not the case. A lot of the children, it's a precious resource to have those books and to have those libraries that we're establishing there in Ethiopia. But we're here to celebrate curiosity and the power of books, but also the power of hope. Because when you put those books in those libraries and the kids get to have that window into the world, a window into ideas, into information, they have hope, they have dreams, they have possibilities that they can then begin to envision and begin to try and think about putting it into reality. But all the more wonderful that we're also here to celebrate Ethiopia, because Ethiopia has a long tradition of literacy. In fact, it's the only country in Africa where the alphabet developed by the ancient people of that region is still in use today. Of course, all of us know about Egypt and the hieroglyphics, but nobody reads that language except for Egyptian archaeologists and those sorts of things. But the language developed in Ethiopia is still in use today. So they have a long tradition of literacy in Ethiopia. But now, in ancient times, the books and the literacy was just for the clerical class, for the religious folks. Now, of course, times have changed and literacy has become very important, and families in Ethiopia understand that literacy and information and reading is very important and is vital for their education and for their children to have a chance to move up in the world. So here we have a picture of the writing system in Ethiopia. And here, of course, the clerics were the ones that developed the system and used it, but then now literacy has become a treasured resource and something that kids want to learn and that families value a lot. So, እኛ ለእነዚህ ልጆች ተስፋ ትምህርት እና በቂ እውቀት መስጠት እንፈልጋለን። አንዳንዶቻችሁ አማርኛ ተናግራላችሁ አይደል? እናንተ በደንብ እኔ በመጠኑ እስቲ እንደገና ልሞክር። ለወደፊት ህይወታችሁ ጥሩ አመለካከት እንዲኖራቸው መርዳት እንፈልጋለን። So it's hope, and it's the faces of these children. It's really hope that we want to give these kids. We want to offer them an opportunity to improve their lives. And one of the most powerful things that we can do is offer them the gift of literacy. And without books, literacy is a little bit empty. So this is our chance to give them that full gift.
You know, hope should never be a glib word. Sometimes there's a lot of pain that goes before hope. There's a person in this room who once looked like this. This is our Ethiopia Reads Board member who's over there. And like maybe some of the rest of you in this room, he had to flee from Ethiopia. And so it was a very painful time. But as Freyo will say, he has poured his pain into leadership, into creating libraries for children in the country of Ethiopia that he left. In the same way, there are always children born in Ethiopia, and it's a happy event, but sometimes that also becomes painful. Sometimes families can't care for their children. So some of you in this room are connected to Ethiopia through adoption. There's a mom in this room who adopted these twins from Ethiopia when they were 6. When their family could not care for them. And there's this family that you've already met today who got a chance to go to Ethiopia last summer and see a graduation at a pretty special school. Graduation is always a really happy time in Ethiopia. But 7 years ago, there was a graduation that was tragic. This young woman graduated with dreams of going back to teach in Ethiopia. 3 weeks after this picture was taken, she was killed in a car accident. Her family family and friends refused to let her dream die. Dana took the money that the friends had gathered and moved to Ethiopia to start schools in her honor. The school that you have been giving to tonight was hope born out of that pain. And Dana is now also coordinating the Ethiopia Reads programs. There he is again with Frail. And so all of those literacy projects, all of those schools will become literacy projects, bursting with books and reading and ideas and dreams. This is one of the families from that school. Many families in the Mercado have to live on $20 a day, $20 a month. You can see the worry on this mother's face. But for the children, hope. Every penny that you've put in tonight goes to hope.
One of the strengths that we have in this room is that we come to this project and to this work from a diversity of reasons and for a diversity of reasons and from a diversity of backgrounds. This is Stephanie. She's a volunteer in Ethiopia. She's there right now. And she says that art has the power to change lives and spread smiles. Books have the same power to change lives. This couple decided that they wanted to start a library in Ethiopia, and they did it in honor of their mother, who was an avid reader. They did it for no other reason than that their mother was an avid reader, and they wanted to have a contribution, a way to share that love back to people who might not otherwise have that opportunity. Mark also, back in that picture, the previous picture, he also contributed to the Paris package. Now, when I went to Ethiopia, I didn't really have a lot to say about the matter. I had 5 sisters. I was the only boy. They called me Al-Gawarash. As you can see in this picture, we also had a diversity of pets. Many years later, I took my own family back to Ethiopia and went back to teach English in a girls' school. And many of those experiences from that time inspired my first book, Only a Pigeon. I go back fairly regularly now, and I lead trips and tour groups, and Habtu, the person that my sister's pointing to right there as a tour guide, and that I work with, and he's the sponsor for the dancers that you saw this evening. We should probably give him a hand, even though he's not here. So I get to go back to Ethiopia, and I get to let people enjoy the beauties of Ethiopia, and sometimes the challenges. I take mainly teachers and librarians back to Ethiopia. They get to see the attractions of Ethiopia. They get to enjoy the things that they've never really experienced before. But you have to be careful when you go to Ethiopia. Some of the attractions would like to eat you. I like to see interesting things, but one of the things I like to do more than anything else is to share my love of reading and my love of books, and just pass along the enjoyment that I get from my love of stories. This last summer, I got to meet the Ethiopia Reads staff, and they introduced me to the Mercado School. This is the school that will have a library that would not otherwise exist if it weren't for this evening tonight. And that's special because I like readers of all shapes and sizes.
I also went to Ethiopia when I didn't have much say in the matter. And not only that, but I went to Ethiopia on a leash. I'm the one over here in the corner. Our parents first studied language in Addis Ababa, and then we got in that airplane and we flew down to where that airplane landed on the hot savannah. I hope you've had a chance to see some of our books out there, including this one that talks about what it was like to see all those animals on the hot savannah. This is a book you can share with your own children or grandchildren. But we didn't live on the hot savanna. We would spend all day going up, up, up into the high and beautiful mountains of Ethiopia. And so when I began to write books, I began to think about my childhood home. I spent a lot of time outside in Ethiopia. A few years ago, when the American Girl team asked me to come and talk about the American Girl Doll of the Year, I took these pictures with me, and that's why Lainey is an outside girl who believes that she can change her world. I even learned how to read outside. And it was in Ethiopia that I learned to love books, and so that's why I became an author. By the way, if any of you have bought my books or my brother's books, feel free to come and have them signed if you would like to do that. For a while, I was just so delighted to show Ethiopia to children here in the United States. But then I've had the thrill of helping start libraries in Ethiopia. And in terms of teamwork and diversity, I have to tell you that I recruited 2 of the team to volunteer in a library. One of my sons and my daughter went to Ethiopia. And then my son recruited another teammate for the libraries. This is Hiwat, and they got married in Ethiopia. And then there was another teammate pretty soon. That's my first grandbaby. I have grandbabies because of libraries. And so now my family spans 2 continents, just as many of your families do. And we're trying to spread the love of reading across 2 continents. Ethiopia Reads has started about 50 libraries. You know, there are children all over Ethiopia who are so excited about a chance to have a library. And so we've been trying to think about those children all over the country of Ethiopia and how much they deserve to have books and ideas and dreams. So there are actually 3 families in this room that have made 3 of these model libraries where the diamonds are possible. We're planting libraries all over Ethiopia. And right here in this room are 3 families who have made that spread of those libraries a possibility.
Well, it's important that we plant libraries across Ethiopia, just as many as we can. It's also important for us to drill deep into certain neighborhoods where we feel like we can really make a difference that's qualitative. The streets of Ethiopia are a playground for some children. They're a workplace for other children. The streets of the Mercado are especially difficult and dangerous. And it's in this neighborhood that the library will be planted, the one that we're supporting today. This is what Dana says about these children. Dana, remember, is the Ethiopia Reads staff person in Ethiopia right now. These children arrive stunted, glum, and lethargic. After a few months, they've recovered some of their body weight and are smiling and playing. This school gives them a chance to learn. It gives them a chance to do art. And it also gives them water, clean water, for the time that they're there at the school. So this is just a chance for you to glimpse the children that will be benefiting from the library and the power of the written word. This library will be open to the community so that even the graduates who exit the school will have a chance to come back and use the library as well as their families. This is one of the volunteers, one of the teachers that I took to Ethiopia on a tour, and here's some of the words that she uses to describe the school. She says, "The Mercado School captured our hearts, each little face drawing your eyes. Look at me, see me, saying, I am significant."
Books mean so much in Ethiopia. Here's a little boy at one of the reading centers, and what he's doing is copying the story there so that he'll have something to read at home. What you're doing here tonight with every penny you give is you're standing in solidarity with families who have a fierce determination to educate their children. And education does make a difference. Haktu, the tour guide that Chris talked about, grew up in Lalabela, far from Addis Ababa, without a father in the home, and yet education is helping him start his business. And now he's going to educate his sisters in turn. Everything we do can ripple out of here tonight. And that's what we want you to celebrate. We are not stuck with the stories that life hands us sometimes. One of those twins that was adopted by a mom here in this room got a chance to go back to Ethiopia this summer. She got a chance to meet her birth mother there. We can rewrite our endings to our stories. We can write sweet endings. And so what I want you to think about tonight is how we've gathered here together for hope. And my brother and I want to thank you that what you're doing is nourishing dreams. Thank you very much.
ያ ስሜ ፍሬው ጥበቡ ይባላል። ከካሊፎርኒያ ነው የመጣሁት። ለዚህ ዝግጅት የኢትዮጵያ ሪድስ እና ለተስፋ ፋውንዴሽን የአመቱን የሆሊዴይ ምክንያት በማድረግ ያዘጋጀውን ፈንድሬዚንግ ላይ ለመገኘት ነው የመጣሁት። ቤተሰቦች አሉኝ እዚህ ወንድምና እህቶች እና ከነሱ ጋርም በዚህ አጋጣሚ አብሬ ለመሆን ነው የመጣሁት እና በዚህ ድርጅት ውስጥ ከ2007 ጀምሮ ተካፋይ ሆኛለሁ። ትልቅ ደስታ ይሰጠኛል ለዚህ ድርጅት ቮለንቲር ሆኜ በመስራቴ እና በ2009 መጀመሪያው ላይ በመጽሐፍት በኩል እኛ ነገር ያለውን ችግር ለማቃለም ባደረኩት ጥረት ትሬሲ በሚባለው ኮሚኒቲ ውስጥ ቦርድ የኢትዮጵያ ሪስ ቦርድ ሜምበሮች አባል እንደሆን ጠይቀውኝ ያንን ተቀብዬ አብሬ እያገለገልኩ ነው ያለሁት። በጣም ግሩም የሆኑና የሚያስደንቁ ሰዎች ከነሱ ጋር በመስራቴ ትልቅ ደስታ ይሰማኛል እና እነሱንም በምንም አይነት ዲስአፖይንት ማድረግ አልፈልግም። They are very good people on behalf of the children of Ethiopia Reads እና በህዝቡ የሚያደርጉት ተስዋጽኦ በጣም ትልቅ ነው እና ጄን እዚህ ትገኛለች። እሷም አንደኛዋ ስፒከር ነች። ወንድሟ ደግሞ ክሪስ እዚህ ይገኛል። ሞሪን የምትባል ሌላ ደግሞ ቦርድ ሜምበር እሷም ከሜሪላንድ መታ ከዚህ ከኛ ጋር ትገኛለች። ሌላ ደግሞ ቴሪ የሚባል እዚሁ ሲያትል ያለ ቦርድ ሜምበር የኢትዮጵያ ሪስ ብዙ አመት የቆየ እሱም ከዚህ ያለ እና ኤለኖር ይህንን አጋጣሚ ኢኒሽቲቭ ወስዳ እኔን አዘጋጃለሁ አንድ አይነት ፈንድሬዚንግ ለሁለቱ ድርጅቶች ለተስፋና ለኢትዮጵያ ሪስ እና ተባበሩኝ ብላ ዋናው ስፒሪት አርጋ እሷን የተነሳቸው እኛም እሷን በመደገፍ የምታደርገው ጥረት ኮሚኒቲውን አነሳስተን በዚህ ቦታ በመገናኘታችን በጣም ደስ የሚል ጊዜ እንደምናሳልፍ ተስፋ አለኝ እና የኔ ዋናው ትልቁ ዓላማ ያው ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ያሉትን ህጻናቶች ከትንሽነታቸው ጀምሮ በመጽሐፍ ተኮትኩተው እንዲያድጉ ለማድረግ ነው። ብዙ ጊዜ ብንሰማለን የመጽሐፍ ችግር አለ። እኛ ሀገር ውስጥ የኤሌመንተሪ ኢንሮልመንት ወደ ኦልሞስት ወደ 500% ከፍ ብሏል ብለው ነው የሚያወሩት ያሉት እና ግን ኳሊቲ ኦፍ ኤጁኬሽን ወደ ኋላ የቀረ ነው። በጣም ሁለተኛና ሶስተኛ ክፍል ተማሪዎች ያደረጉትን በጣም የሚያሳዝን ድክመት ይታያል እና ያንን ለማስወገድ አንዱ የተሰጠው ሀሳብ የመጽሐፍ አክሰስ የለም፣ በግል መጽሐፍ የለም እና ኢትዮጵያ ሪድስ ያንን ችግር ለማስወገድ ከ10 ዓመት በላይ ሰርቷል። ከ2001 ጀምሮ እስካሁን ባለው ጊዜ ውስጥ እስከ 50 በላይ የሚሆኑ ላይብራሪዎች በየቦታው አቋቁመናል። ቢልዲንግ አይደለም፣ ትምህርት ቤቶች ውስጥ ነው በብዛት። እንደገና ደግሞ ነፃ የሆነ አዋሳ ውስጥ ነፃ ላይብራሪ ያለን፣ ፍሪ ፐብሊክ ላይብራሪ ያለን አዋሳ ሪዲንግ ሴንተር እና በነፃ ኮሚኒቲውን ያገለግላል። እዚያ ያለውን ኮሚኒቲ ያገለግላል ማለት ነው እና ለወደፊትም ሀሳባችን we want to be ልክ ስታርባክስ በየቦታው እዚህ እንደሚከፈተው ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ እንደዛ አይነት አላማ ነው ያለን። በየኮርነሩ በየቪሌጁ እንዲህ አይነት አክሰስ እንዲኖር ነው። ኦፍ ኮርስ ቴክኖሎጂው እየተቀየረ ያለው አብሮ ሲቀየርም እነዚህም እየተቀየረዋል ከህዝቡ እድገት ጋር። ግን literacy is important to to educate our people, to bring them, to give them hope and to have a better life. እኛ እዚህ ያለነው አብዛኞቻችን ትንሽ እውቀት በመገብየታችን ነው እዚህ ደረጃ ላይ ሆነን ራሳችንን ለማስተዳደር የቻልነው እና we hope the same thing for our people. And it's a hand up, it's not a hand down, and we want to make sure that our people have access to education. It's a question of rights, and every child should have a right to have access to education. የሚል ግምት ነው ያለን እና በዛ ላይ እየሰራን ነው። የኮሚኒቲው ፓርቲሲፔሽን በጣም ደስ የሚል ነው። We're happy to be part of that, and ይሄው ነው ያለኝ።
My name is Jane Kurtz, and I'm one of the volunteers who helped start Ethiopia Reads. And the reason that I've been working so hard on this project for about 10 years is that I grew up in Ethiopia, and that's where I learned how to read. And when I was living in Ethiopia, I learned to love books. It made me sad that the girls didn't get to go to school where I was growing up in rural Ethiopia, and they didn't have books in their houses. I became a children's book author, and I was publishing books, some of them set in Ethiopia, and I began to realize that we could start libraries in Ethiopia and help children there get books too. So Ethiopia Reads has been planting libraries mostly in schools, and what we're trying to do is with the new generation of Ethiopian kids, we're trying to open up their curiosity and give them new thoughts and give them new skills and give them new ideas. There's such a hunger for education in Ethiopia right now that if we can get the books there, then we find that the kids are really eager to be able to read. So most of us are volunteers. We only have one half-time person that is paid staff here in the United States. We give our time, we donate our time after we get home at night and we're tired from and we could give to our families or our businesses, but we give to Ethiopia Reads because we're just so excited to see the children of Ethiopia having a chance for their own future and for the next generation. Thank you.
Chris Kurtz. I grew up in Ethiopia. በልጅነቴ ኢትዮጵያ ኖር ነበር ከህፃንነቴ እስከ 17 ዓመቴ። ስለዚህ ነው አማርኛ ሞክራለሁ። And now I'm working with an organization called Ethiopia Reads to establish libraries in Ethiopia because I just believe in the power of books. That there shouldn't be children who go to all the hard work of learning to read and then not being able to hold a book in their hands. እነዚህ ልጆች መጽሐፍ መያዝ ማንበብ አለባቸው አይደለም? So that's what I'm working on. So አንዳንድ ዓመት እዛ ሄዳለሁ እሰራለሁ ልጆች አያለሁ እና library establish ማድረግ እንፈልጋለን እንሞክራለን. So it's a non-profit that we're working to establish libraries and literacy in Ethiopia because Ethiopia is a very wonderful, precious place, and it's worth investing time into those wonderful people. So thank you.
This decoration up because their whole house was loaded with all of this stuff. But I have done several auctions, and you've been one great group of people. And the items that you had for your silent and your oral auction items were very impressive, and never lose sight of the program of what you're doing. I'm a foster parent. I've had something like 25 children through my home in the last 7 years. And I'm very proud to say that they've all been adopted. In fact, Larry, wherever he is, there he is in the back, is the proud father of 2 of the children that I brought into our home until they were adopted out. So I understand why we're here. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night.
I just want to take a minute and thank everyone for coming tonight. 3 years ago, Layla was born in our life, and she rocked our world. And she has taken us on an amazing journey. And God knows where she will take us from here. And we feel very grateful that there's the perception that the adopted child is the lucky one. And what's missed here is that the adopted parent is, because they get a chance to hang out with Layla. And where she takes us, I'm sure it will be an amazing journey. We're so grateful to her. We're so grateful to Ethiopia for letting us have her. Thank you all for coming here and opening your hearts.
All right, good night, everybody. Please be careful on your way home.
Go, you not there,